Hey, when I was growing up, I had a bunch of beliefs about Americans. Some I can't say I've been proven wrong in any of those because I haven't really gone into America to actually see for myself. But to some extent, I have been because the media feedback I've gotten about them kind of tends to be a little. So yeah, we are going to watch this video of this creator about how the perceptions of Americans landed on her visit to America. But you are going to subscribe again while at it. Let's go!
About the US before I actually visited, and I have to admit that some were totally ridiculous, but some others actually turned out to be true.
Yeah, they usually say that there's usually some truth to a stereotype.
Starting with the first stereotype I had, which is that Americans are very patriotic. So yes, as a European, when I first arrived, I was so surprised by how many American flags there were in the street. Like,
I guess, yeah, based on what I've seen over the years, Americans do really care about their country. Doesn't matter. I know. You'll find that Democrats be like Republicans are, and then Republicans like Democrats are this. But in the end, I think they can be very patriotic.
it's not only that, like people really take the national anthem very seriously, like standing up at sports events. And Bobby told me that growing up, he had to say the Pledge of Allegiance every single day at school.
In Kenya, we kind of used to, and then they relaxed it a bit. With us, it's called the loyalty pledge. I don't know that it's still said, but the fact that I've even forgotten about it means it's just something we really.
Say that it's also very polarized. Like Americans themselves have very strong opinions about their country, and I've met a lot of people who are very apologetic for being American. I feel it's such a shame that these people feel the need to do that, because I feel the US is a really great place to be from.
I guess it depends. It depends how you see it. I mean, some people do want to acknowledge American role in how the world is today, and how the world is today hasn't worked for some people, especially in places that America went in the name of rescuing and kind of fucked up. So when you meet those people, sometimes you wanna let them know that at least I acknowledge my country fucked you guys up. I don't know how it helps, but some people feel the need to do it. So
This leads me to my second stereotype, which is Americans are supposedly bad at geography.
yes, they are. Yes, they are. They are terrible at geography. They are terrible at geography. They are so terrible at geography, they can't even point at places in their own goddamn country. Americans are terrible at geography. They have to admit that. No. I am willing to debate any American on that. You are terrible at geography. Just admit it. You are terrible at geography.
Seen these YouTube videos of people asking Americans to name a country, any country.
And it's not just that. I've actually met an American in person, and they were terrible at geography.
I'm from France and I grew up right there, and my dad is from Spain, the country in Europe that's right there. And you know, sometimes this comes up in conversations, like for example if we're talking about our origins with people. And in the US, for whatever reason, people misunderstand or don't remember correctly and think I'm from Mexico. And you know,
No, I'm sorry. It is not that they misunderstand. Stop being nice here. They do not know. They are confused about these things. I know they put a man on the moon. I know that they're on race to cure cancer. I know they're doing great stuff. Geography is not one of them.
I think it's a great country. I've spent a lot of time there during my travels. I've actually lived there for 6 months, but I am not from Mexico. I'm literally from the other side of the pond. Like, it's 10 hours flight from Paris to Mexico.
You can tell me that is confusion. That is not like I'm sorry, I can easily confuse Lithuania for Georgia or Transmania. You get that? Like, some countries that are clustered together, I can easily confuse. But I can't, for some reason, confuse, let's say, Bosnia and Chile, and then claim no.
It led to a very awkward situation, especially at work, with people going out of their way to be nice and introducing me as Mexican to actual Mexican people who are like, oh, cool, which part of Mexico are you from? And I'm like, France. And the people who forget where I'm from are very educated, they're trying to be nice, and I've never understood why this happens so often.
I said it. It's not an education thing. They're just terrible at it. How did they find Japan to bomb it?
The next one, which is that Americans don't travel. And I have to say that this one is entirely not true. You've probably heard the myth that only 10%
but is it true? Is it true?
Apparently this has not been true for over 20 years.
Wow, 76% is a lot. I just hope that 76% is not Mexico and Canada. Okay, to be fair, it should be. It's a different country. But 76% is a lot. Majority of people who are born in Kenya tend to die in Kenya without ever stepping outside of Kenya. And that like so far, my mom has never stepped outside Kenya. And she's 60, she's in her 60s.
In smaller European countries like the Netherlands, it's 83%. And that fully makes sense. Like if we take the example of the Netherlands, you could technically bike to Belgium. It's super close. Also in the US, flights tend to be pretty expensive because you're pretty far away from other countries. Like your
and
only
not
neighbors.
Just that, domestic flights are very cheap in the United States. You can't flex on flying in the United States. Because back home, if I tell you that, oh, I flew from Nairobi to Kisumu, you immediately just put me in another category. Even in Canada here, I can't try that shit. Like if I say I flew to Nova Scotia, it's like, yeah, it's $180. It's something doable.
A lot of people prefer to travel domestically. Like there's already so much to do in the US.
Yeah.
Like, the other stereotype I had before going to the US is that Americans don't speak any other languages than English. And this one is not entirely...
They do speak a lot of languages, some of them. But there is this videos of people who come at you for speaking your language and just speak English, like they don't want to listen to any other language being spoken in their country other than English. Kind of helps in pushing that narrative that they only speak English.
Another thing I've been warned of before going to the US is medical expenses. Like I've literally been told, be careful to not break a leg in the US. Otherwise, you'll be in debt. Luckily for me, I haven't broken anything. And the only medical emergency I had while living in the US was an ear infection. I went to an urgent care facility where I saw a doctor and it costed me $300. Luckily, my health insurance was very good at the time because I was working for a French company in the US. So I had to pay out of pocket and then I was reimbursed. But in the time it took for me to get reimbursed, I was very scared that my claim was going to be denied or that I wouldn't.
That would never happen to me here in Canada. If I had an ear infection, I would just walk to a doctor and I wouldn't have to pay out of pocket. And I think that makes me very lucky to be in Canada. But I still don't have a good job, blah, blah, blah. And therefore, money is still an issue. So yeah, $200, $300 for an infection would really be a lot for me. I appreciate the Canadian health system. I hear they want to improve it. I would appreciate an improvement, obviously, but I as of now I can't really castigate it because it's way better than what I am from, like way better by a lot.
Another thing I believed about the US is that people sue each other for no reason. Alright, I know this one is a bit of a weird one, but from a European perspective, it seems like the US is like the Wild West of lawsuits. Like just driving on the highway, you see a bunch of like personal injury lawyers. You have to sign.
In Canada too, like we see those adverts in buses. They are being advertised on TV. Lawyers being advertised on TV is unheard of Where I come from, I never used to see lawyers advertising themselves on TV.
And you hear about those crazy viral lawsuits. And here I can't talk about that without talking about what happened to this poor old lady that had to be hospitalized for 8 days after spilling McDonald's coffee on her lap. Like, I've seen the picture, and what happened to this lady was really horrible. She had third-degree burns, and she decided to sue McDonald's to pay for her medical bills. That's just what she was asking for.
And McDonald's said no, and so she sued, and she was awarded a lot. She went home with up to $500,000, and all she wanted from McDonald's was $20,000 for medical cover, and McDonald's was like no. So yeah.
She was painted by the news as just a dumb lawsuit that was fully useless. ABC News even called it the poster child of excessive lawsuits.
You mean the media, a corporation that doesn't want lawsuits, painted that woman poster child of lawsuits. She asked them that, hey, your coffee banned me, give me $20,000 for my medical expenses. And McDonald's, a company that could afford that, said no. So she took them to court. And the media painted her. The media, the same media that doesn't want lawsuits. The media will paint anything. I am banned by your coffee. I know I should presume any coffee to be hot, but not to the extent to which it was hot, because it was later discovered that it was like 3 times hotter than McDonald's rivals. Probably she couldn't even hold it. In that she held it was hot, and slipped, fell, burned her, or whichever way it did. So McDonald's deserved that.
So it has been for a very good reason. So I don't think suing people qualifies as an American hobby. I don't know, and I don't want to know. I'm not a lawyer. I've never been involved in any lawsuits, and I intend for things to stay this way. Overtime number 8 is that people love to work.
Yeah, the work culture there is I think it's just the same as Canada. Everything is compensated for, your hour, your time, everything. Like, everything is looked at within the lens of time. This is how much time you spent here, and this is how we are compensating you for the time you spent here. Like, your time, you're paid on your time.
Surprise to you that people have a lot of vacation time in France, but that's one image I had of Americans, and I do feel this one is kind of true. Like, there is this always on mentality where people are always thinking about business or maybe building side hustles and always trying to make things happen. And obviously sometimes it's a necessity. Like,
I know of a friend of mine who makes a very decent salary, but bro is right now kind of starting to pay attention on his side hustle. He has a little company there that he's right now earning very little on it, but at least it's making something, and he wants to dedicate more time to it because he wants it to be his side hustle. Like, it's a thing here.
Whereas in France, I know a lot of people, for example, who are very good at a skill like art, but just do that in private and will never think of monetizing anything.
Honestly, I think if you have a passion for anything, you have to attach value to it and maybe make something out of it.
Americans are very optimistic and outgoing, and that's a thing that I had to adapt to in the US because it's not in my culture, but now I really love small talk.
I've really wanted to hang out around like those black Americans from the hood, just sit down with them and like talk about life, bro, like how they grew up, what happened, and how they, I want to hear that story. I don't want to hear what I hear from the media. I want to hear from them. I tend to think Americans are cool, especially black ones. Very cool. That was a very interesting video, if you ask me. That it had a lot of information packed within a small space. And please subscribe. See you next time about America, anywhere. Yeah. See you next time.